So we're live now. Uh, Ethan had signed up for a one-on-one chat. It was never intended to be recorded. I got on the call with him, and he said he thought that what he wanted to share might be interesting to a broader audience. So I scrambled to set up my screen share. I should say my live streaming setup, and now here we are. Uh, Ethan, why don't you dive into what you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, so I talked to you about a year ago to get some general advice. I've had issues with um, going back similarly to you a long time with traditional orthodontics. I got my wisdom teeth taken out. I've had multiple facial traumas, and I've had a few concussions. And recently, in the past few years, have developed, especially for my age, very severe sleep apnea. With some obstruction now I know behind my lower jaw as well as behind my upper jaw. And yeah, so I went about a month ago, went into Yuseffian's office for some consultation, get some scans, and I also want to get, of course, some of your opinions on where to go from here.
So you talked to Dr. Joseph
And
Yousefian. Dr. Joseph
yes,
Yousefian is the doctor up in Bellevue, Washington, who famously has a plan for the mandible. That was the interview title that I used with my interview with him. That's because he does the DAME or the MSDO procedure. He splits the mandible at the midline and then expands it, basically using an MSE for the lower. That's what he's known for. So that's who you met with. He's kind of the gold standard when it comes to a lot of this transverse expansion stuff because he does the upper and lower jaws together.
right. Yeah. And so if we could share the screen, that would be helpful for the
Okay.
computer.
Why don't you pull up the screen share, and once it's up, I'll add it. Okay, and then in the meantime, I'm going to make sure we're doing good over here. Yeah, we're good here.
Okay. Is that shared?
It is. Let me put it on the screen. All right. Here's Ethan's screen share. What are
Great.
we looking at, Ethan? Walk us through it.
Yeah, so this is just the consultation, right? Um, so this is just symptoms. They did very in-depth um, both manipulation of the jaws and to analyze the clicking as well as my moderate tongue tie. Just some of my symptoms here. Class 2 overbite. Um,
How many pages is
Deviated
this?
septum. This is a
14
pretty long.
pages. Yeah,
Yeah, pretty
Dr.
long.
Yousefian, I've seen several of these from Dr. Yousefian. Patients are reporting back to me with them. He is by far the most thorough doctor when it comes to giving written treatment plans that break down airway, TMJ health, and a million other things. So that's what we're looking at here, a 14-page written write-up from Dr. Joseph Yousefian to Ethan. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Ethan. Walk us through it again.
Yeah. So here is my basic scans, my basic photos, right? Um, Definitely a lot of swelling towards the front, the gum line, as opposed to the back because of the mouth breathing. Um, and so here are the actual scans. And so I've had so many things happen to my face, honestly, but you'll see obviously a very obvious cant here, and as well as this deviated septum from a broken nasal bone. You can probably see that in the video.
Yeah, what happened to
Um,
your nose?
well, I had one as a kid. I fell on my chin probably several times, and then as a late teenager, I had a mountain biking accident where this entire side of my face was all bruised, and thankfully I was wearing a helmet. It would have been worse, but so there was definitely some breakage of the suture sort of running down behind the eye and then connecting back into the mandible, the maxilla.
Okay.
Um, and then like almost a few months after that, I was wake wave surfing basically with my body, and I just was smashed right into the sand with right on my nose, and this whole both the septum, the suture behind the septum broke, as well as the bone that connects to this the zygomatic bone.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had almost like it was almost like there was tension being from this injury going this way, and then another from this injury going that way, and it very much crunched my airway a lot, because I know that I've been a mouth breather for a while, but I definitely have not had sleep apnea until the last few years following these injuries.
How old are you now?
I'm 24, almost 25.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, bring us back to center.
Yeah. So,
Do you think if it weren't for these traumas that you wouldn't have these airway issues? Because your facial structure looks pretty, like at a glance, you look pretty square jawed, and you look like you
yeah,
have a lot of
I don't know.
you look like you have a healthy face at a glance. But it sounds like there's been some trauma to your face that may have caused scar tissue to form, caused softer cartilage in the nose to get bent and deformed and to interfere with your nasal airway. What's going
Yeah.
on? Yeah, what's going on with your
I
airway, in your
mean,
opinion?
I know that it was restricted for a while. However, my septum, I was always able to breathe during the day by sort of keeping the muscles of the back upper airway up open, and was able to pretty much, unless I was exercising, able to breathe through my nose all the time. And pretty shortly after that, it's become a lot more difficult and a lot more restricted. And so I've always had an overbite, as well as underdeveloped lower and upper jaw. But it really was not. It was much. I mean, to the extent that I was mouth breathing, it was functionally not a great functional relationship with my jaw, and was very much dragging my teeth and my upper jaw backwards.
What complaint did you
But
go see Dr. Yuseffian with? Like when you saw him, what did you say you wanted to fix?
I mean, I've had TMJ pain, I've had tinnitus, like breathe, not being able to. I knew that I had sleep apnea before I had this sleep study done here.
Oh, Ethan dropped off. All right, we lost Ethan. I don't know if he even realizes it. Maybe he does. In the meantime, I'll just riff here. I brought Ethan on. I wanted to show the world what a Dr. Yousefian treatment plan looks like. He was willing to share that. Ethan, are you back?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, what happened?
I don't know. My phone just was
Doesn't
getting a
matter.
little weird.
All right, keep
Yeah.
going.
Where was I?
Your complaints that you brought to Dr. Yousefian when you asked him for treatment.
Yeah, so mainly the pain, as well as the breathing, and a very dysfunctional bite. However, I stopped wearing the retainers that I had been using from my retractive traditional orthodontic treatment, and a lot of that pain has decreased, but it's still there. And however, the bite is more dysfunctional than it was, or I guess returned to this dysfunction that it was when I was younger. But there is a lot less facial tension now. But the airway is getting worse as the bite changes back to where it was.
So when you went to Dr. Yousefian, did you have the intention of getting expanders from him? Is that what you wanted?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to see what his opinion was, but yes, I at least thought that I would like to start with non-surgical skeletal expansion, with the two that he's obviously known for. But I was also, so I can also show you my sleep. I guess I don't really need to, but my sleeps, I had 2 sleep studies done just
Yeah,
at home
summarize
there.
them for us.
Yeah, they're basically my AHI is between like 20 and 30.
That's significant.
And yeah, very. And uh, more so on my back, which I knew, but actually surprisingly even in terms of side versus back. And then my max heart rate shot up to 180 for like 9 minutes or something. And then my oxygen desaturation dropped below like 80% at some points. So very, very wacky, and but also makes a lot of sense based on what I've been experiencing.
Why, you wake up feeling like crap?
Yeah, and also just that heavy heartbeat, like high blood pressure feeling, um, both having issues falling asleep, staying asleep, keeping a consistent sleep schedule, etc.
Hmm.
Um,
So, what did Dr. Yuseffian tell you?
yeah. Well, you know, his approach is definitely like it with the Apno TX is, which he detailed on that episode, obviously, but I'll summarize just, that this is part of my question that I want to get your opinion on, because I think this is a little unusual for this community, given that we don't like tipping teeth generally.
True.
And so, his first approach, which he detailed, is the, clear upper and lower aligners, and then his Apno TX device or appliance, and which is essentially just a tooth-borne expander that literally just clips only onto the clear aligners, like it goes on after, and then you have a little jack screw, you turn it, and his approach is to tip the teeth out first in order to see whether or not there's any change at all in the sleep apnea severity before he goes through with either this expander that's non-surgical or the actual jaw surgery. He, based on just his initial assessment, even though he would go through that process, was that double jaw or MMA was probably a better option. However, he definitely left it somewhat open to what I wanted, because I'm very obviously very skeptical, or at least hesitant about MMA. So I want to, at least if I go with this option, I would like to go conservative in terms of the MSE or Dane and Dame that he offers. And as well, I feel like it's beneficial regardless, because if you're having the MMA and you're cutting off the whole maxilla, you're really not getting the change both in the eyes and the rest of the upper face. But you're also, even if I do want to do the MMA later, it's my thought that if you have an extra millimeter of bone in here, plus you've already widened the airway, to me that makes more sense to do that first before you slide the maxilla forward, because then you have something that's more stable that you can bolt onto when you cut this off, right?
Sure. Yeah, of course. If you're
Right.
considering MSE and double jaw surgery, the MSE absolutely comes first. What are you drinking, by the way?
Raw milk, baby.
Nice, man. Hell yeah. Where do you get
Love
that?
it.
Do you have a local farm that you get that from?
Yep. Yeah, I buy meat and raw milk there. Yeah.
Dope.
I've
Dope.
changed my diet. I mean, I've always eaten a lot of meat, but I recently, for many, many reasons, changed my diet a lot, and that's helped a significant portion of some of my symptoms in terms of not having energy and stomach discomfort. But anyway,
Are you on like a
yeah,
primarily animal-based diet now?
yeah, yep. I did keto in the past, but I've never done strict carnivore. Never really felt like I needed to, but I had a crazy experience with a friend who got gastroparesis and could not cure it, and then went on it. We did an elimination diet. It was around the time when I switched as well, because I was helping her out with it. And within a matter of months, less than a month, uh, the gastroparesis completely went away, just by doing the animal base and then selecting for which fruit skins to cut off, which so there's a lot of I've had a lot of those sensitivities. I can still eat vegetables and grains if I want, but it's not the main thing is just animal products and some fruit, occasionally vegetables.
Yeah, the body tears right through animal product. There's a famous thing that happened in the 1800s. There was this guy, I think he got shot in the stomach or impaled, and the doctors could see through to his stomach, and like there was a permanent opening in his body, and they used that as an opportunity to like watch how the stomach reacts to different foods. This was like before there was imaging, and they would feed him different things and they would watch to see how his body processed it and digested it. And one of the things they noted was that chunks of meat that they were feeding him were by far the most readily digested food that they fed him. And so, I mean, you don't even need to chew meat, and your body can still process it and digest it. It's like the antithesis of non-digestible or tough to digest food. So for someone with gastroparesis, which just is a paralyzed stomach, basically, it means the stomach is not moving the food. The whole system is just in lockdown. I'm not surprised that you were even able to get animal product, beef or whatever, through that, because it's so effortless for the body to process those foods.
Yeah.
So, but anyway,
it was
man,
pretty good.
Cheers on the raw milk, man. Raw milk is awesome. Raw milk is better than pasteurized milk, of course, because it's not pasteurized. And basically what pasteurization means is flash heating of the milk, which kills all of the probiotic substances in it, turning it into, basically a graveyard of bacteria. And then, when you put that into your body recognizes that, those foreign, the killed bacteria from the pasteurization are foreign objects that the body rejects, and that can cause an allergic reaction. And so pasteurized dairy products are nothing like raw dairy products. One is a probiotic living food. The other is a completely foreign substance that your body can have a negative reaction to.
Right. Yeah. And it breaks down that lactase enzyme. I think that's a lot of lactose intolerance. But anyway, let's get back to some jaw stuff. So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on that? On his method of flaring the teeth some in order to test, but then as well as part of that was part of his approach was that you can flare the teeth. Like if you just went through MSc and you didn't flare the teeth, you'd have more. His theory is that you'd have more regression of the teeth backwards than from my understanding, than if you were to do the Apno TX first, have the teeth flare, then do the MSc, and then have the teeth come back. He said, like, so
does the Apno TX actually move the teeth? It's a tooth-borne expander, or is it just a mandibular advancement device?
No. So I think on the exact report he mixed up the name, but the TX is definitely the one. It literally is just Invisalign retainers, trays, and there are these, I think, four. I saw the physical device in the office. There are these four, maybe 8 metal clips, basically, that it's like a square. It's probably not a square, but it's probably a little thick block like this, and then it goes back, and then it clips in, and then it has the jack screw. And then I think the Apno Dent is more of the orthotic retainer style thing that isn't expanding anything.
Okay.
And that was his real. Does that make sense?
I guess
my understanding of his approach.
I mean, I'm not sure, to be honest with you. His approach can be very complicated, and I don't fully understand what the Apno TX is or does, or even what the Apno Dent is or does.
Well, that's definitely what it is. Like it's not, because he's not using it as a permanent solution. He's obviously not saying like we're going to expand the actual maxilla through that, but
it's a diagnostic.
Yeah, which like I understand, but just because I've had orthodontics that have, well, I had orthodontics that pushed my teeth back and then I stopped using them. They came back forward, and then I pushed them back again. They came back forward. Just the amount, plus like grinding my teeth, and just I play saxophone, and there's a lot of like tension in my teeth, right, and on my gums, and so I'm just a little bit hesitant about this part, and I have some questions about it that I can't really get answered. I'm just I'm a little skeptical, I guess, of that aspect of the treatment, because otherwise, I really am fully on board with a lot of what he does.
Do you wish that you could just go right into the expanders?
Yeah, like my another question I would, or another question I would ask, I guess, is, and a thought that I've had is that I could go to, for example, Lipkin, who will use the bone saw, right, for the upper, because I think he goes straight to that.
Yeah.
Um,
There's no
and so,
diagnostic period where you wear an oral appliance or you do any tooth-borne stuff to see how you react to the expansion before doing the full Monty, you know?
right. Yeah. So it's not, I, I don't, money is not, if I need to spend more money to get the best result, I'll do that. So, I'm not opposed to it, but it does seem a little ridiculous, to go to, in some ways ridiculous, to go to New York to get that upper done, and then once that's done, come to Yuseffian and have him say, "Oh, actually, I got this upper, but can you do the lower now?" It's,
Oh no,
I don't know
that
if he would
it
do
would it
that,
wouldn't
but
work that way. It wouldn't work that way.
yeah,
If
right,
you go
right,
down into treatment with Dr. Lipkin, you can probably kiss your treatment with Dr. Yousefian goodbye. These guys don't like to mix and match. I
mm,
mean, if you really need to get bailed out, then one orthodontist will take you from another, but they won't like collaborate on your treatment,
right,
you
right,
know? And so that would not be a good approach. If you leave Dr. Yousefian, you've just got to give up on expansion of the mandible.
mm,
Or you have to go through Dr. Yousefian's process, because he does have a process. And if there's anything that I've seen that's frustrated patients about Dr. Yousefian, it's that there is this process where he doesn't just give you the expanders.
mm,
He makes you go through this diagnostic process to make sure that the expanders are going to have the anticipated effect of addressing your TMJ problems or your sleep disordered breathing. I
right,
don't understand the
yeah,
plumbing of that whole process. Again, I don't fully understand how each of these appliances work. You're saying that the Apno TX actually moves teeth in order to simulate what bone-borne expansion would be like.
that's the only thing it could possibly be doing. There's no way it does anything else.
Well, I thought what it was is that it's basically a mandibular advancement device that puts your TMJs into an
No,
ideal
I
position.
believe so in my report summary, I believe that the terms were the TX and the apnodent were flipped, but I looked up the actual visual of the device, and the TX is the upper expander. The dent is the one that, yeah, sits the mandibular advancement device. So it sits the
But
mandible forward.
are you sure that the Apno TX is actually moving teeth, and that it's not, those turn screws are not just to allow the oral appliance to expand as the MSE does its work? Because when I interviewed him, that's
No,
what he
this is no,
explained to
no, no.
me.
This is before. This is before the MSE.
You wear the Apno TX before the MSE, but then you continue to wear the Apno TX even after you start expanding with the MSE. And the purpose of the jack screws is so that the appliance can widen to match the MSE expansion. My understanding is that it does not actually expand your teeth, but that it has expansion screws so that it can expand, so that it can continue to provide a good uh, a splint service for you as the tooth-borne expander makes your jaw wider. That way, the way he explained it to me was the Apno TX allows people to continue to wear functional appliances while they're undergoing bone-borne expansion. That's the purpose of it.
Hmm.
If you're telling me that the purpose of
Well,
the Apno
if you
TX is to move teeth, that's news to me.
yeah, so can you share the screen on my computer? Um, so the reason I do, I could be wrong, but I do believe that this is uh the approach to it, right? So this is where I thought they mixed it up, but they're saying, right, that phase one apnodent, phase two apna TX. See, so there's four phases. Oh shit.
What's up? Okay, Ethan, something happened again with Ethan. I don't know if a call came in on his phone, but his video is locked up. This is interesting because what you guys are seeing right now is Dr. Yuseffian's treatment plan. And you can see he gives a 14-page PDF to his patients. This is page 12 of 14. And it's only at the very end of the treatment plan that he gives you the actual treatment that he plans on doing for you. The first 10, 11 pages, they're strictly diagnostic, right? And so, by rewinding this video and looking at the different frames, you can see phase one, phase two, phase three. Dr. Yousefian does not just dive right into MSE treatment for a patient. Phase one usually involves several months of just diagnosing to make sure that you really do have sleep apnea and that moving the jaws really is going to help your sleep apnea. And that's testing, simulating in a non-permanent way what the MSE and the DAME will do, which is to permanently widen your jaws, giving a permanent position to the to what he's simulating with his ApnoDent and ApnoTX appliances. Ethan's I can see he's left the room. Something's going on with him. I think his phone might be down. So I don't know if we lost him, but I'll just riff until he comes back. So I've spoken with lots of people who find Dr. Yousefian's approach a little bit disconcerting because they go to him, they want MSE, they want DAME, they want to just dive right into the expansion. Maybe they're already convinced that that's what they need. And then when he tells them, but before he gives them the expanders, he wants to go through this multi-month diagnostic process, they find that very frustrating. And they would rather just dive right into an expander. So I've been telling people, you can go see Dr. Yousefian, but it might not be what you're expecting. Dr. Yousefian is very thorough. And before he does an invasive thing like split your maxilla or split your mandible, he wants to be damn well sure that it's going to have the intended effect. Okay. So Deshmed made a comment here. I'm using the Apno TX right now. It's similar to mandibular advancement device. I don't think it flares or moves the teeth at all. And that's exactly what I was saying too. My understanding is that the Apno TX the reason it has expansion screws is not to expand your teeth, but to expand itself so that it can continue to function as a splint as your maxilla expands with treatment. Deshmed, can you tell us, is the Apno TX putting any pressure on your teeth? Is it applying orthodontic force to your teeth? Because that would answer Ethan and I's question. Okay, Ethan. Ethan, are you back?
I am. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah.
My phone's been overheating.
No problem.
All right. So I just overheard the last part of what you were just saying, and I just saw his comment.
What's your thoughts on that? Do you think that's possible, that the Apno TX is not actually a tooth-borne expander? I don't think it is.
I don't know, but it just doesn't make sense to me why there would be a trial period where you are attaching it to the plastic expanders and then turning it before you even consider the MSE, which in my treatment plan is what's laid out in a different phase.
The treatment plan says that you're actually gonna. So I think what's happening is that if you're turning the Apno TX before you do any actual skeletal expansion, it could be to adjust the position of the mandibular advancement to get the perfect position for your TMJs.
Gotcha.
That it's not necessarily a tooth-borne expander. You're not turning the Apno TX to expand your teeth. You're turning the Apno TX to incrementally adjust its position to find the sweet spot for your TMJ, which would be the spot where your symptoms go away. It looks like we lost Ethan again. He's having some serious technical difficulties. From Shukai. So what's the Apno dent? Just a MAD? My understanding is that, yeah, it's basically a MAD, which for anyone who doesn't know, it's a mandibular advancement device. It's an appliance that goes in your mouth, clamps to your teeth, and then juts your lower jaw forward to help keep your tongue out of your throat at night. And these MAD devices come in all different shapes and forms. You can get them at CVS or Walgreens for like 25 or 30 bucks. They're pretty generic, but of course, the Apno dent is probably a custom-made one that is built off of a mold of your teeth, and is a more tailored fit than something you'll get at CVS. Deshmed, Ron's explanation of the Apno TX's purpose is correct. Okay, so Ethan's initial sense that the Apno TX was there to give him tooth-borne expansion to mimic the effects on his airway and on his joints of true skeletal expansion, that was not correct. The Apno TX is not a tooth-borne expander at all. The Apno TX expands itself. It has jack screws so that it itself can get bigger and smaller and help position your jaws in the ideal way to find the sweet spot for your TMJs. And then Dr. Yuseffian orthodontically brings you into that position permanently. Okay. I'm going to go to another comment from Shukai. Not a fan of mandibular advancement devices. You can get a lot of pain from those, changes to the bite, and even deterioration of the joint. They're also expensive. Yeah, I'm not crazy about them either, except maybe temporarily to use one strictly as a sleep apnea diagnostic. You know, if you do wear a MAD for a couple of nights and your sleep apnea goes away, then that probably means that your lower jaw is recessed and that getting your tongue and your lower jaw forward out of your throat is good for you. So I think it can be an interesting diagnostic, but definitely not something you want to wear for years and years as a Band-Aid to your sleep apnea. We know actually from my Homeo Block Guy video and from the pinned comment on my Homeo Block Guy video that having an appliance that provides a bulk in your biting surface, which is to say between your upper and lower teeth, for a year or more can cause permanent negative effect on your facial aesthetic. I'm going to jump to Ethan. Are you back?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry about that. Not going well. Okay, could you so can you put my computer back?
Okay.
So this is the part I was talking about. So right, so here, so the first thing, right, is the dent, which I don't understand had the turns, right?
Say that again. You cut out, Ethan.
So this part right here, where he's talking about the apnodent, I've thought that the apnodent was the one that's just the orthotic, but clearly they're referring to something where they're turning the screws, correct?
Oh, let me read that real quick. So I'm going to read this. Apnodent, the sleep breathing disorder treatment plan consists of delivery of oral appliance. So this would be phase 1 of Dr. Yuseffian's treatment. Apnodent, accommodation to appliance at 0 half turns for several days, advancing 1 half turn as comfort allows. Patient accommodating to the oral appliance for 7 days without advancing further from the starting position, advancing 1 turn until snoring and excessive daytime sleepiness have resolved, evaluating the oral appliance fit and comfort level in 2 weeks. So it sounds like the Apnodent is an oral appliance that you slowly adjust until your symptoms go away. And then that ideally will give you the benchmark for where you're trying to arrive with your orthodontic therapy. So instead of guessing what the perfect bite is, right? And because we all know occlusion is everything. And good occlusion is occlusion in which the temporomandibular joints are healthy. And I guess in this case, also the position in which the mandibular is so far forward that your sleep apnea is resolved to some degree. The apnodent doesn't, it allows you to not have to guess at what that position is. You can just adjust the appliance gradually until you get to that position. And then you treat the patient into a permanent lock of that position. Go ahead, Ethan.
Yeah. So, I mean, am I wrong that it does that not, based on that description, does that not seem like you're doing that before the MSE
Yeah,
or
you
any
are.
sort of it?
You
Right. So
are.
you are tipping teeth.
No, I don't think
You
you're
have to
tipping
be.
teeth.
But how are you listen, like how are you attaching the Apno TX to the expander, to the liners, right? The clear trays, and then it's literally putting force on the where it's attached to the aligner, and then like where else is that force going?
I mean,
Like where are you if you're tightening that screw, that has to be pushing that apart, because that's the whole point of the device.
I guess what I'm imagining in my head is that turning the screws results in the sleep apnea appliance, the apnodent, moving your lower jaw more forward or backward.
But it doesn't make sense because
I don't think it's
it doesn't make sense because the screws go like how is that I really don't see how that would not tip teeth.
So again, what I'm imagining, and I guess I'm sort of talking out of my ass here, but I'm
Yeah,
imagining that
yeah.
turning the appliance. So let's say you have a mandibular advancement device and you start it and it's like it brings you into an over under like this, right? Here, let me go
Yeah.
like this. Let's say when on day one of the Apno TX or the Apno Dent, fucking God knows I'm getting these confused. Let's say day one is like this, right?
Mhm.
Perfect over under. And then you turn it. And then let's say you turn it 5 times and it brings your mandible a millimeter forward with 5 turns. Now you end up like this. And then your sleep apnea gets a little bit better, but it's not totally fixed. And then you turn it another couple of turns and now you're like this.
Gotcha.
So basically what I think
I
it's
get that.
doing is that it's adjusting how far forward it's holding your lower jaw, but it's not actually moving your teeth. But I could be completely wrong. So I hope
it's
I'm
hard for
not
me
full
to
of shit.
tell. It's part of why I'm trying to figure it out with you, because I asked as many questions as I could while I was with him, but I could, there's only an hour you have with him.
That's a lot.
I totally understand that the advancement of the mandible and how those work. I don't understand how the jack screw that's splitting side to side, how that is contributing to the advancement of the mandible.
Well, are there multiple screws?
No, there's just one. There's one screw.
There's one screw and it goes left, right?
Yeah.
The screws don't move the appliance back and
The
forward.
one that I saw, it was definitely splitting it side to side.
Okay, so I think at this point we're just not sure, right? Because what you're describing sounds more like the appliance that he uses while patients are getting MSE that allows the sleep apnea appliance to expand transversely with the MSE.
Yeah.
That's what that sounds like. Yeah. So we might be confusing the two.
Yeah,
so I think the big picture,
to me, but...
the big picture is that I doubt that Dr. Yuseffian's treatment plan involves tipping teeth as a diagnostic for seeing whether or not you're going to respond positively to the treatment. I mean, he's not.
Yeah.
That
So you
would
think it's more the mandibular advancement?
I think that's what it is. It would,
Gotcha.
quite frankly, it would be stupid if that's what were happening.
Yeah, that's why I was like, am I reading this correct? Because this sounds like the exact opposite of what I would want to do.
I don't think you're
But
reading it correctly. I
okay,
don't. I don't think there's any like diagnostic tooth tipping. No.
okay. And so another quick, uh, you haven't heard of Yuseffian using face mask, correct?
No. No, I haven't.
Yeah, because honestly, if I could combine his approach with face mask, that's like exactly what I would do. I really think the results that Lipkin was getting, the one that you showed from the group, with the underbite was pretty good.
Yeah, but you don't have an underbite, do you?
No, I have an over.
So so why would you want to do a face mask? The face mask is just going
Be-
to exacerbate that.
no, because of the facial traumas that I've had, the bone, it got basically crunched backwards, and the back of my upper airway is very restricted, as well as the behind my jaw where my soft palate is.
Right. But
So
if you pull
yeah,
on your face with a face mask, you're going to mess up your occlusion,
right,
which is a serious concern. You can't just
yeah,
pull if your bite is already in a class 1 or even like a class 2, which means that the upper teeth are in front of the lower teeth,
hmm,
then um then that's dangerous, man. That's a dangerous game to play because you're just going to exacerbate the class 2, which is to say your upper front teeth are going to be even more far in front of your lower teeth. The
hmm,
overjet is going to get worse, right? And so
right,
as Shukai is saying here, if you do plan on using a face mask as a class 2, you better intend to do a lower jaw surgery after to advance that mandible forward because
yes,
your
yes.
mandible is not just going to magically reposition itself.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, that is definitely a consideration because if I can do I would if I can only do uh jaw surgery on the lower instead of both, to me that's a better option. If I can bring the front, because if you look at my profile, where my phone is, right.
Aim it more back toward the back of your head. Yeah, like that. Now turn.
Is that
Okay.
good?
Yeah.
Um so I both are very recessed. So I just think that, I mean, obviously, I prefer not to do any jaw surgery, but um, it might make, to me, what our conversation before or earlier was just about creating the width in the maxilla and the zygomatic bone changes, have those solidify before you do any sort of sliding the maxilla or mandible forward. And to me, that the combination of the face mask with the MSE, and then potentially, I know that this is not a real treatment option because Yuseffian doesn't do it, but combined with either the MSDO or Dame, and or the double jaw or the lower jaw surgery, seems like more of a it seems like it has some upsides to me, but I wanted to get your opinion on that.
My
So,
opinion is that I don't think Yousefian is going to give it to you, and I don't think
oh, I know that. Yeah,
Lipkin's not going to
yeah.
give it to you either. I just asked Lipkin that question in my interview with him that I posted last Monday. I said,
Mhm.
would you treat a class 1 or a class 2 with a face mask?" And he said, "Absolutely not."
Yeah,
He said, "Absolutely not." If someone asked me for that, I would refuse. Those were his exact words. I would refuse.
right.
So there's Wild West, cowboy orthodontists who would give you a face mask as a class 1 or a class 2, but it's not going to be Lipkin or Yousefian.
Yeah,
You could still
yeah,
try, man. I mean, you can always, face mask yourself, but you still need the hooks on the MSE. Otherwise, you're going to be attaching the face mask to the TADs or to something unstable like that. So what
right.
you're wanting to do is very unconventional, and you're
Yeah,
going to
for
have a
sure.
hard time getting Yousefian or Lipkin to sign off on something like that.
Yeah. And if I can ask one more question, I, in terms of the cant that I have, if you could show the X-ray or the computer, I'll pull that up. Is it even, so let's see, my right jaw, yeah, is higher than my left from those injuries, as well as
I
it
mean,
seems like the maxilla as well.
mm-hmm.
It's just so, you talk a lot about that asymmetry that can form from the MSC regardless of pre-existing asymmetry. But just in your opinion, is this too much of a skeletal cant? Like if I do the MSE and the MSDO, is that, I mean, because if I'm not actually that concerned about asymmetry,
Bro, it
like
looks to me
facially,
like your
but
head is just tilted to the side in this
it
scan.
looks like that,
It
but
almost
it's
looks like a
really where
scoliosis.
that there definitely is an issue similar to that. However, the actual the zygomatic bones do not have the same cant to them that the
Show us. Look dead on the
lower.
camera. Look dead on the
Oh,
camera
on
and then
here.
smile for us. Yeah, on your phone because it has
Oh, yeah,
better resolution.
it's kind of hard to see through just with my
Look dead nuts on the
so
camera and then smile. Yeah, just like that. Now smile. Yep, right there. Don't move. Now smile. Okay, there's a little bit of a cant, but it's nothing like what you see in that scan.
yeah,
The
right.
right side is a little bit higher, but it's nothing like on the scan. So to me, the
That's
scan
yeah.
is mostly just about how you were oriented in the machine. And you're the cant that I'm seeing on your face is pretty standard for
No,
most people that I
it's
talk
not
to.
it's not if you look at this X-ray, if you go back to the computer on this bottom left X-ray here, you can clearly see the tilting of this side of the mandible, correct? See how those teeth here are tilted way in. On this side, you can barely see them, right?
Mhm,
It is definitely a skeletal cant that is it's super complex because of how many injuries I've had. So it's
mhm.
not just like a simple like I have a left AIC, BC right pattern from PRI. It's not like, because I do have some asymmetries in terms of that in my body, but I didn't have them before, and they developed after the injuries.
Mhm. Mhm.
And to me, in these scans, it's, if you look at, I don't know if there's, yeah, to me, the majority of the cant seems to be, and in my just experience of feeling what my face feels like, it feels like the cant is more within the mandible and the maxilla in relationship to how it sits into the zygomatic bones and the TMJ,
Mhm.
rather than just my entire head being tilted.
Mhm.
And so I'm wondering, yeah, I'm wondering if that cant is just too great to deal with in terms of MSE and the MSDO.
Yeah, well, the MSE and the MSDO certainly are not guaranteed to fix cants or to fix asymmetries. They could actually make them worse. Which
Yeah, that's what I'm
side
worried
is
about.
It's very possible. Whatever side gets more expanded than the other is a total crapshoot. It could be the side that needs it, or it could be the side that already has the extra expansion or the extra, you know, the side that's already lower might get even lower, or it could be the other way around. It might perfectly fix it. It's a total crapshoot. One thing is for sure, you have to be careful when you're expanding to not exacerbate this too much. Ultimately, the way this is going to be fixed is orthodontically. The teeth will be used to mask the skeletal asymmetry.
Yeah.
It's a slow, grueling process where you just, you know, apply orthodontic forces to the teeth until the cant is corrected. It's a very hard thing to achieve orthodontically.
Yeah.
Most orthodontists can't even fix cants. But if it's going to be fixed, it'll be orthodontically, unless you get really lucky and the expanders just so happen to expand where you need it and not where you don't.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, no, I would say all bets are off when it comes to your existing asymmetries. When it comes to these expanders, they definitely have the potential to make them worse.
Yeah.
You need to be careful. You need to
Right.
monitor your treatment, and you need to make sure you don't overexpand into a bad asymmetry.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, based on this, the main, I guess the main upside to me to Lipkin is the bone saw. Are there any other upsides that you see over
Uh,
Yuseffian's treatment?
How old are you?
Almost 25.
So the bone saw is an advantage, but at your age, you're still on the cusp of potentially not needing it.
Uh-huh.
Um, the other advantage of Lipkin is if you don't want to deal with the ApnoDent or ApnoTX for 6 months, you won't have to. You'll just be able to dive right into an MSE. But then again, it's going to take you 2 to 3 months to onboard with Lipkin, and so that's the same time that you could go into Dr. Yuseffian's, you know, orthotics, and in the end, it'll be the same treatment time.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
if you're really set on mandibular midline distraction, i.e., MSDO, DAME, then obviously that's an inherent advantage to getting treated with Dr. Yuseffian.
Right. Yeah. Um, yeah, that's really my only. I I mean, those are my hesitations. Yeah, with Yuseffian, but I do like a lot of the approaches that he uses, and how thorough he was, at least.
He's extremely thorough, and I think that your initial impression that he was going to do tooth-borne expansion for 6 months, I think that's incorrect.
Yeah, that's good
Okay.
to hear.
And you
Yeah.
should ask him directly and ask him for a little bit more clarity on what the ApnoDent and ApnoTX is all about. And quite frankly, I need to ask him for clarity too, because clearly I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about with them either. I mean, I think
Yeah, it was a
it,
little. It's definitely a little unclear, both in the video and as well as talking to him. I would like to get more clarity as well.
well, truthfully, it's almost as if he kept it unclear because it's like a
Yeah.
patented device and he wants to
Yep.
make it there's some amount of intentional obscurity there, but that just leads to
Yep.
confusion in podcasts like this where we're kind of fucking guessing at what they do, right? And we're counting on dudes in the comment telling us what their experience with those appliances are. It would be better if he would just come on and provide 100% clarity about exactly what those screws are for, what the appliance does, how it fits into your treatment plan. That way, two dudes on a podcast don't have to guess at it. And then a patient like you doesn't almost get completely deterred from getting treatment because of uncertainty. No one likes
Right.
uncertainty. Uncertainty is stressful.
Yeah. Yep.
Ethan, I'm late for my next chat. Do you
Yeah.
want to have any questions you want to like get to me before we finish or anything else you want to say?
I mean, how many minutes do you have?
Let's go till 4:20. I'm already 15 minutes late, but I'll
Okay.
just explain it. But
All right.
I want to make sure you're happy.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So 4 minutes.
Gotcha. Okay, so let me look really quick. Um,
I think he should
yeah.
continue with Dr. Yuseffian. That's what I think, Ethan. EM is asking Ron, what do you think he should do? What would you advise ultimately based on what you've heard? You're already a patient of Dr. Yuseffian. That's a great blessing. By the way, where are you located?
I'm in Portland right now.
Oh, gosh. So, yeah, dude, obviously Yuseffian. I mean, you don't want to travel 6 hours in an airplane across country to have your
Yeah, I
braces
do. My
adjusted.
family is in New York, so it's not like the worst thing ever. But yeah, it definitely is more convenient right now to
Okay.
do Seattle.
My sense is that your reluctance to get treated by Dr. Yousefian was based off of an incorrect idea of what he was presenting you with. And so now that that's cleared up, to me, the door is open for you to continue with him.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I was pretty comfortable with most of his approach, so that was the main thing I was a little unsure about.
100% to this
But
comment right here. Fly on Donnie says his son, his name is Ryan. He's a fucking awesome dude, by the way. Totally. If
mm,
you should ask
ask him a
Ryan.
question.
Yeah. Email
Okay.
Ryan and ask Ryan. Flyon's comment says his son runs ApnoMed and responds to emails 100%. And maybe we should get him on the podcast to explain at some point. But yeah,
Yeah,
contact
that would be
Ryan
cool.
and ask him to clarify for you.
Okay.
Ryan Yuseffian is a great dude.
Have you talked to him?
I have. I talked to him.
Mm.
He's the one who set up my interview with his dad. And before we
Oh,
set that
cool.
up, me and him got on a Zoom call and shot the shit for a little while. Super cool dude. Super interested in airway orthodontics.
Cool. Well,
I know 2 minutes isn't a lot of time.
yeah, I'm trying to. Mm,
In the meantime, while Ethan's thinking, anyone who's still watching this and hasn't hit the like button, please do so now. I'd really appreciate that. It's a no-cost way for you to support the channel. Just take your phone out, unlock it, go to the video, and hit the thumbs up. It'll take you 8 seconds, and it'll help me a ton. I really appreciate that. Thank you. One like just came in, and hopefully a couple more.
All right. Well, I can't really think of any questions right now, honestly. Those were my main concerns. Yeah.
You've got to go back to Yuseffian and ask him any clarifying questions, man, because it sounds like there's some, it's 14 pages. There's a lot there.
Yeah.
He's your doctor, and that's his job, is to give you clarity, but he doesn't know that you need clarity because he's not a psychic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, obviously. I tried to get in touch with him through his secretary's email, and I haven't heard back yet, but I could definitely call them back, and I'm sure I can get a hold of him eventually.
Find a way to get through to him. Every doctor, and quite frankly, every professional person, has a mode of communication where they're more accessible than others. For example, with me, the way to talk to me is to sign up for a video call or whatever. Like, I don't respond to DMs. I don't respond to emails. For him, maybe you have to show up or something. I don't know. But find the way to get FaceTime with him, and then get that FaceTime, and then get your questions answered, because unclarity and uncertainty is very problematic, and he's the one ultimately who has the answers to your questions. I don't think that this relationship is over between you guys. I just think that you have some questions that you need him to answer before you're comfortable to proceed with treatment.
Right. Yeah. Do you know if he does the similar cant work that you had done with the rubber bands crossing? Do you know if he does any of that?
He probably does, because, he uses TADs in his expanders, and basically to do what happened to me requires TADs. And, with orthodontists, either they use TADs or they don't. And he uses TADs. So yeah, he could do to
Is more likely.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
All right.
He also, if I remember correctly from his presentation, he actually uses the MSE itself as the orthodontic anchor to intrude teeth. So he's got all that figured out, bro. He's got it all figured out in terms of his orthodontic strategy for intruding teeth, extruding teeth, and fixing cants.
Interesting. Okay. All right. That's good to know. Thank you for your time. Thanks for going over.
All right, brother. Hey, I'm so sorry it had to be rushed.
Yeah, it's all good.
But I wish you were the last call of the day so that we could have just gone for hours and hours.
Yeah, well, maybe another time.
All right, bro.
Let me know.
All right, man.
Yeah. You have your, what seasonal job are you working?
I'm a tax preparer. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, that'll heat up starting next week.
Gotcha.
All
right.
All right, bro.
Well, I'll let you go.
All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to Ethan for sharing his experience with Dr. Yousefian, and I will catch you all on the next live stream.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Peace out, Ethan. Take care, bro.
You too.